Hey everyone, welcome back to another Tic Tac Taiko. I'm going to start a new series this week because I love starting new series. It's going to be a top 10 series list, except it won't always be top 10. I'm just using that because everyone knows what a top 10 list is. It's going to be a top whatever, 2, 9, 17. And I'm going to start this week launching the series with the top 9 things every new Taiko player should know. Let's go. Before I get into the list, 2 things. The first thing is what I define as a new player. This is very subjective and very generally I'm going to say a little over a year, definitely not 2, and this will depend on a lot of things, a lot of factors. I'm not going to worry about it too much. And the second thing is that this list is not in any order whatsoever. None of these are more important than the others. I tried making ordered lists, but it was a pain in the butt. All right, here we go. Assume the bachi that you are given are not the right length for you. I've spoken about this over several videos. I'm not going to get super in depth, but the idea is this. When you are given a pair of bachi, when you are new, you don't know if that's the right size. And I played with the wrong size for a good 6 to 8 years before I discovered a pair that actually suited me. And I realized that I have been playing almost at a handicap for that entire time. And getting that new pair of bachi, that right size, was transformative. Take a look at your height compared to the average height, whatever that is. We're getting very subjective territory. And ask yourself, would I be better off with a smaller pair or a larger pair? Only you can answer those questions, but you can only answer those questions with data, and that data are bachi. Hitting hard does not mean hitting well. It seems that a lot of people new to Taiko, especially people who have never played Taiko before, try to recreate the feeling that they have when experiencing Taiko. And the only way they know how to do that is to hit hard, because they're trying to summon that visceral impact that they felt in their bones, that we all feel in our bones when we hear or play Taiko. But this tends to have the opposite effect. Instead of having a warm, round sound that engulfs the audience, that penetrates to our core, it creates a harsh, angry, grating sound that can actually kind of repulse people and be a little painful to the ears. But it's the only type of technique a new player knows. They don't know nuance. They don't know fine motor skills. Not yet. I think the only thing that hitting louder actually does is help sound travel further. Not necessarily a good sound, but just the sound in general. But if you think about it, when you are playing Taiko, you tend to have an audience that's not too far away. You can see them. Maybe even in your studio just during practice, you can see the people around you who can hear you. You don't have to reach the next city over because your audience is right there. So there's no need to play that loudly. Other side effects of hitting too loud are causing a lot of trauma, damage in that drum head, causing it to tear and rip way sooner than it should, as well as your bachi, putting it through so much stress, which means it's going to crack and break and splinter way sooner than it should. And I would say potential damage, well, at least potential stress to you, your arm, your wrist, your hands, absorbing all of that extra force. You're gripping your bachi really tight to make sure it doesn't fly out of your hand because you're hitting it so hard, and that's being absorbed into your body. It may not hurt, but it's way more stress than your body needs to handle. So for those heavy hitters out there, you can ease up a little bit, and you'll find that you're freeing up room to then learn technique, to fill that space with nuance and control and the appreciation for all the stuff in Taiko that can't happen when you're hitting really hard. Question what your instructor says, but do it anyways. Now, when I say question, I don't mean necessarily out loud. Don't be the reason your instructor rolls their eyes every time you open your mouth. What I mean is by questioning things up here, asking yourself why, maybe even a little bit of doubt. So when you're told, stand this way, you wonder why. When you're told, hold a bachi this way, strike this way. You wonder, where is that coming from? Why am I being told to do it this way? Are there other ways? That type of inquisitive mindset is really important as a beginner. And here's why. If you don't have it as a beginner, odds are you're not going to have it as an experienced taiko player. It's really hard to suddenly become curious years in. What I see happening a lot in both taiko and martial arts are people who do not question what they are told. And it's never a good thing. Whether it's in taiko or martial arts, you can see people who have not questioned what they've been taught. And it's kind of painful to watch. When you're new to taiko, you don't know anything better. You have nothing to lose by doing what you are told. As an experienced player who's practiced this inquisitive mindset, you will now have the information and tools and experience to be able to answer some of those questions and some of the, let's say, cred or permission to maybe ask them a little more often. But as a beginner, you got to at least start practicing this mindset so you can have it later on. There is no one right way to play taiko. If you are ever told this is the right way to do it, the best way to do it, the correct way to do it, those are red flags. It doesn't matter who's telling you. It can be your sensei, your instructor, your peer, your senpai. Does not matter. Whoever is telling you that, it's a red flag. The exception here is if you're doing something that's stylistic, whether it's your group's style or a particular style of a song that's always played a certain way, historically, traditionally, then there are allowances and maybe there is a correct way to do it. But if you're talking basic technique, then it's a red flag. This usually comes about because of things like ego, or a person isn't allowed to teach in a different way from what they were taught, or they've never questioned what they were taught and now they're teaching the same thing, but it doesn't really matter where it comes from. It's all bad news. There are definitely better ways to do some things. There are definitely more optimal approaches that one can take. And all you have to do is go on YouTube and look at the hundreds of different ways people are playing taiko. Different groups, different styles, different approaches, different aesthetics. None of them are right. None of them are best. Some of them you might like more than others, but there are things to learn about every different approach. But once you hear those words, best, correct, one way, I'll say it again, red flag. Enjoy your enthusiasm. When you're new to taiko, there's so much to love. You might find groups, instructors, performers, songs, styles, equipment that you just, oh my God, I love that, it's so awesome, it's so great. It doesn't matter why you like it or love it, you just do. But because we are all human, at least I think, there are going to be people who tell you why you shouldn't like that thing or that person. And it doesn't matter what their reasoning is, you're going to start to feel challenged. Maybe I feel stupid for liking that thing. I shouldn't like it because I'm told I shouldn't like it. Or you might be feeling a little shame, like, oh, that's really silly to like. I shouldn't like that. I'm an adult. I'm more mature. No, you deserve to like what you like. As you get more experienced, you can then form your own context and your own opinions. But when you're new, there's no reason not to like things. You almost deserve to have a childlike mindset when you're introduced to this new art form, this new community, and it will go away. You eventually will become jaded, like me, but until that happens, enjoy it. Get a metronome. The most important skill for any percussionist is the ability to stay in tempo, especially when you're playing with other people. And most taiko players are playing in an ensemble. Having access to a metronome app or a physical metronome is invaluable. And I would say a taiko player without a metronome is like a tennis player without a racket or a baseball player without a bat. There's something fundamentally lacking. Personally, I really recommend getting your hands on a physical, even though it's a digital metronome, because for me, I like to record on my phone while I'm playing with the metronome. And if I have both the phone recording and metronoming at the same time, it's a very loud metronome. So having the option and having something that's portable really helps. With a metronome, you're able to practice rudiments, solos, songs. You can push yourself and have something that's going to be really honest about your progress. I just cannot stress how important it is for taiko players to practice with metronomes. Listen to your body. When you're new to taiko, you're going to be told to stand this way, hold your arms this way, move this way, and unless you have, say, a dance or martial art or some kind of physical background, a lot of this stuff is very foreign. Even those with a dance and martial art background, there's stuff that might be familiar, but things that definitely will not be. And what you'll find is that your body doesn't always like the things that you're trying to make it do. But there's a huge difference between discomfort and pain. I would say you should expect discomfort when you're new. It's part of the learning process. It's part of the growth. You will get calluses on your hands and fingers, and that's okay. That's discomfort. You can put a Band-Aid on it, you can take care of it, and you can go on. You might also feel aches and pains in different parts of your lower body or upper body that come from being put in positions and postures you're not used to. If you're new and experiencing pain, I say stop. I say figure out what you need to do to stop feeling pain. And it might be an uncomfortable situation. You might have to say something to the instructor or the group. But pain, when you're new, is just one of the worst things possible. You should not be experiencing pain as a new taiko player. If you are feeling pain, it tends to come from one of three things. You're doing it wrong. Your instructor told you to do it wrong, which is often tied to the first one. Or you're doing it right, but your body is just saying, this isn't working for you. Regardless of which one it is, you need to have an honest dialogue with yourself and maybe with other people and figure out how to modify your technique so that pain is not there. As a more experienced or veteran taiko player, maybe playing in styles like miyake, which is extremely taxing on the body, or when I've done 20-minute odaiko solos, by the end, I am in what I would consider pain. But as a new taiko player, you should never, ever be dealing with pain. Your group may not be the right group for you. A long time ago, back at the North American Taiko Conference that was held in Sacramento, there was a discussion group. Somebody in the audience asked the panelists how they could penetrate into the inner circle of the group they were in. They had so much trouble feeling like they fit in, and they had been there for a few years. I'm not going to get more into details because if this person is still playing taiko, I don't want to out them. One of the panelists had a really interesting but somewhat difficult answer, and it was, maybe that's not the right group for you. And this can be a really hard reality. If you're in Southern California, you can close your eyes and throw a bachi and you're going to hit another taiko group to join. Please don't actually do that, thanks. But there are many other parts of North America, other parts of the world, where you're lucky if you find one taiko group that lets you join. So this is not necessarily an easy answer. At least though, if you know that this may not be the best group for you, that's information. That's a better idea and understanding of your situation rather than just trying to hit your head against a wall and hoping that it stops hurting. And then you can start having more honest conversations with yourself about how much you really want to invest or how you can make this more enjoyable because the approach you're taking may not work. Be kind to yourself. Now, while the rest of this list was not ordered, I put this one at the end on purpose. When you're new to taiko, and when you're not new to taiko, you set expectations on yourself. Goals you want to achieve, how good you want to get, but you don't know how realistic they are. There are three things that determine how good you become as a taiko player: your mindset, your abilities, and the group itself. But you can't control where the group places you, how the group views you. You can't control what your body is able to do. What you can control is your mindset. It can be extremely frustrating to have a group of people that start with you and to see some of them progress further than you or get better than you. But if you can enjoy the journey that you are on, if you can see and recognize the progress that you are making, there's joy in that. That will serve you better than comparing yourself to other people in the group. Regardless of the art form you're in, you're going to set unrealistic goals when you're new. We all do it. We're all human. And it's okay to have goals. They can inspire and motivate us to try harder and do better. It's just important to identify those goals and keep sight of them as you progress, the weeks, the months, and the years, because those goals may shift around. Your perception of those goals may change. You may have other goals, but if you're not having that constant dialogue and that honest constant dialogue, it could lead to frustration or even anger. So again, be kind to yourself. And that's the first top 10 list for Tic Tac Taiko. I'm curious if any of you might have ideas for future top lists, maybe something funny, something interesting, maybe even something controversial. Shoot me the idea and I'll see what I can come up with. And if you like this video, let me know with a thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet. And until next time, keep on practicing and be well.